And we say good evening on a Sunday night. What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you live on a Sunday night here on 9/11. Thoughts and prayers out to everybody that has been impacted by this day of tragedy, going back 21 years this year. Our thoughts are with you. Our prayers are with you. I know that it was a dark day. I wasn't even born yet, when the Twin Towers collapsed and all of that happened. And I don't want to get into all that. I don't want to start the show off negative or anything. But just know, if anyone's watching this, as we're live, it is 9/11 and it is the 21-year anniversary. So I just figured I'd point that out and say that our thoughts and prayers are with a lot of people. So, yeah, but we want to get into everything right away tonight. I will drop the link and we'll try to get some people on for a little bit. I don't want to turn this into too much of a hangout stream. I got a lot to talk about here. Got my handy dandy notebook and notes. We got a game we want to look at, but more so we want to recap this weekend. A lot of great teams, Georgia, Ohio State, a lot of shakeup in the top 25. We'll get to that in a second, but want to officially, as an Alabama fan, get in tonight with the Alabama and Texas game. When you look at it, 20-19, a great win for the Crimson Tide. But what was it that happened in this game? Did Alabama struggle, or was Texas legit? Again, the Crimson Tide win 20-19 over the Texas Longhorns in Austin, Texas. You look at it, Texas had more first downs. They had less yards, though. They had more passing, but less in the run game. Alabama was able to clearly stop the run, which, if you go back to Tidal Wave Talk this past Friday, I said Alabama's got to step it up on defense, and they got to stop the run game of Bijan Robinson. And they did that perfectly, right? When you look at it, they really only held him to 57 yards off 21 carries. They did give up a rushing touchdown. The big question for each team, I don't know what the question would be for Bama. But when you look at Texas in this game, let's talk about Texas for a second, guys. And I want to hear everyone's thoughts in the chat as we're live on Facebook and YouTube tonight. Can Texas get better and have momentum? Of course they can get better. There's always room for improvement. But do you guys think that they have momentum from this loss? Does it help them push forward? They got the talent. They proved that they can compete. They proved that they're not just some team out there in the world of college football. They proved that they can come up and make some noise. They were playing the best of the best in Alabama, which, by the way, today, you can count it right here, September 11th, 2022, at this moment, after what I saw from teams yesterday, I don't know if Alabama is the best team this season in college football. It might be Ohio State. It might be Georgia. I think Alabama is certainly 2 or 3, but we'll see. Either way, Alabama, it was one of those games where, yes, Texas was that good that they were able to compete and play the football game the way they needed to. And look, I'll say this. I think every champion, if this is a year for Alabama to win it all, they have to be tested at some point in the season. You cannot win a championship without at least playing one close game. My personal opinion. That's just my opinion. I think you got to be tested because eventually you hit that championship, and whether you blow them out or not, you're going to be playing one of the other great teams in college football in the national title. You're going to have to step your game up. You're going to be tested and pushed to your limits. and you might be pushed to your limits, and you might make it look so easy. Alabama did that against Ohio State a couple years ago with Mac Jones and everybody in 2020. Um, Georgia did that with Alabama last year. Georgia had their close game the first week of the season against Clemson, 10-3. This was Alabama's close game right here. And they could have another close game down the road. It's a great possibility. Um, you know, but they win by 1 point. Will Reichard, via Will Reichard, hitting a clutch field goal from 30 something yards. Game's on the line. Gotta hit it. Bama wins 20-19. I will say this. I don't think the receivers are bad. I don't think the offensive line. I don't want to sit here, like I said last week. I don't want to throw any player under the bus. It's always in college a coaching aspect. We have this year Eric Wolford for the offensive line coach. I figured it would be a step up, and I saw that against Utah State. Here was your first test, Alabama. And the offensive line just failed. You only scored 20 points on a Big 12 defense. I'm not going to go off on a tangent and Big 12 sucks or anything. I'm not going to do that. But 20 points? I mean, I can understand a close game. Don't get it twisted. There wasn't even 3 touchdowns for Alabama in this game. And they blew through Utah State, who was a 10-win team last year, by the way. There were too many drop passes. There were too many penalties. They did a good job. They did a great job on defense, getting off the field on third down, creating stops, holding to punts. Paxton's in the chat saying the refs need to be held more accountable. It's unacceptable. Look, I'm not even going to get into that argument. I'll say this. I think the receivers refused to step up for Alabama in this game, and I think the offensive line struggled to step up in this game, right? Our lead receiver was our running back, Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs was the lead receiver, a running back for Alabama. Some teams can get away with that. I'm not letting Alabama get away with this. You know it's bad with your receivers in a game if all you're doing is throwing to your running back or that's the only guy making big plays. He was 9 receptions for 74 yards and 1 touchdown. Xavier Worthy for Texas, really good player, by the way, had 5 receptions, no touchdowns, and 97 yards. He had less receptions, more yards than what Alabama had receiving. And Alabama was throwing to their running back, who's really, really talented. Too many drop passes, nobody open, penalties, held them back. How many offsides penalties or false starts did Alabama have to have? How many holding penalties, right? I mean, it's crazy. It was a great game. Don't get it twisted. I was entertained. I really was, even as an Alabama fan. I said Texas needed to give it their all in this game, and boy, did they. That was great, Texas. Bravo. Bravo. I give you credit. Am I happy as an Alabama fan? The only thing I'm happy about is that it was a win. That's it. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done if this team wants to go on and win a championship. The talent is there. Nick Saban is there. I didn't see anything really wrong with our defense, but that offensive line was not helping Bryce Young at all. Running for his life half of the game, more than half of the game. Wow. It was crazy. Oh my goodness. Bottom line is this: Texas, y'all are a darn good football team. And I want to give you guys all the credit in the world. You gave it your all. You made it a game. Alabama, well done. Great win or good win. I don't want to say a great win, but y'all got to clean that offensive line up, and you got to clean up the flags on the field. They're still throwing penalty flags on Alabama right now. That's crazy. My goodness. What a game it was. I'm glad Alabama got the win as a fan, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done if they want to win a championship and be in championship form by the end of the season. So that's all I'll say about that. Um, Go ahead and drop the link for you guys at the end of the show after we've had everybody on that wants to come on. I'm going to preview Miami and Texas A&M because I'm looking forward to that game. If I'm not working, that'll be the game that I probably go live for this Saturday, but we'll see. That being said, I'm going to get you the link, Jeff. We're going to get you on. Had a good talk with Ugga Boy, by the way. Haven't seen him on here in a while, but we had a good talk about college football and everything. He's doing well. Good friend of mine named Brian. So, anyway, that being said, obviously Jeff wants to get in here. Let me do this. Let me close some of these out. We can talk randomly about the top 25. It really is useless until the playoff polls. But I'm going to go ahead and bring Jeff on. How you doing, man? Roll Tide. How do you feel about the game?
Roll Tide. W. Next. That's how I feel about it. Next.
All right. That's fair.
This was an absolute embarrassment. This was a humiliation. This is as bad a mental effort as I have seen from a Nick Saban team in a long, long time. They were mentally not in this game, and that is what's going to piss him off. And these kids are going to die. I mean, they are going to die this week in practice. It will be like hell, because the one thing he will not tolerate is mental sloppiness, and that was all over the place. There were mental mistakes everywhere, and I don't want to take anything away from Texas. Texas gave their very best superlative effort.
Right.
The crowd was in it. They played to the maximum of their abilities. Ewers was great while he was in there. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, the referees, the referees, they didn't call this, they didn't call that, and then all this. At the end of the day, who won?
Alabama.
Okay, yeah. Now, you ever seen Alabama team play as poor as that?
Not to my knowledge, other than when we played against Clemson.
Here's the lesson you take away from that. As I said on the Mark Rogers show, nobody, absolutely nobody, dies harder than Alabama.
Right.
And you saw that Saturday. Look at everything that went against them, and they still left Austin with a W.
That's true.
Texas threw everything. They had a contract with the devil. They sold their soul. They're not capable of playing better than they played, and it still wasn't good enough. Nobody dies harder than Alabama. You have to have Alabama off their game. you have to play your, oh my God, how the hell did we play like that game? And then you got to have a break or two along the way.
Right.
All those things have to happen simultaneously to beat Alabama. Nobody dies harder than Alabama. And people can piss and moan and complain and say how arrogant that is or whatever. Go look at the last 15 years and tell me that I'm wrong.
No, you're right. I think I see you back there, Matt T. Sipper. I'll get you here. Um, how you beat Alabama is, and there's many different ways that it's happened, but you have to mentally shake that team and
Right.
mentally, not necessarily Nick Saban. You just got to mess with their heads and get in their heads. Texas did that yesterday. The only thing is they didn't do it enough to win the game.
Well, that's what infuriated me because I can't tolerate mental weakness. Uh,
Right.
uh, and that's the one thing that Bama has always had on their side, that you couldn't shake them, that you couldn't rattle them, that they'd been in too many big games like this before, uh, and yet they were all messed up Saturday, and that's got to be fixed, and that's got to be fixed right the hell now.
I agree. I agree, man.
And if you said, well, what's the number one thing I take from this game? I'd say there's two. There's two number ones. Number one is nobody is harder to kill than Alabama, and number two is Bill O'Brien has got to go.
Yeah.
He's got to go. He has destroyed this offense.
His play calling just absolutely sucks.
Jace
The
McClellan.
pressure on him. Yeah.
Jace McClellan breaks free off right tackle, takes it to the house for 81 yards, and after that gets 3 handoffs the entire rest of the game. What?
Yeah.
What? We've got
It's like
fourth.
it works.
We have
It's like
we
it
have
works.
we have we
Yeah.
have fourth and a ham sandwich to go for a first down, and can pretty much run the clock out and win the game 17-16. And we got about a ham sandwich to go. And so we put Bryce Young in a 7-yard drop, snapped the ball to him 7 yards backwards, and handed off to Roydell 7 yards away from the line of scrimmage, when all we need to do is move the ball one lace on the football.
Yeah.
Now, back in the day, AJ McCurran would have just got behind Barrett Jones, they'd have snapped the ball, and he'd have lunged forward.
Oh yeah.
So I'm blaming a lot of this and a lot of the offensive line woes on the play calling and on the general philosophy, and that is Bill O'Brien, and Bill O'Brien must go.
The play calling, way.
Okay. Let me go after Mad T Sipper. Just be honest. Open up. What happened in this game that you guys cannot pull it off?
Well, here, I'm gonna start by saying this. Saying this. It was a great fucking game. I didn't think that Texas would have did what they did. That's the past years what they've put us through. But it was a great game for me anyway. I guess for 10, and it gives me a lot of hope. I don't want to be one of these shoulda, woulda, coulda guys, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this, that Spurs could have stayed in the game a little longer. No doubt in my mind would have won this by not one doubt in my mind. What pisses me off too is that nobody's giving Texas credit. The other day, like Friday, it was Bama's going to blow out by 40. It's going to be a slow. And now it's Bama's overrated. That's
Yeah.
the kind of nobody's gives any credit. They went out there, and I'm sorry, they that defense beat that offense all over. Play calling or not, he did that. They whooped Bama's ass for the first 3. I'm just gonna say it. They did.
Yeah. Sorry, I muted you. It's just I don't know what's going on with your audio. I could hear what you were saying, but it's like echoing really bad.
There is a bad echo.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Let me go get on my be back.
All right. What's up, homegrown cowboy? How you doing?
Doing good, Ballard. Hello, Jeff. Hello,
How's it
Matt.
going?
It's going.
I don't want to. When I complain about the play calling, I don't want to take anything away from Texas. I mean, Texas defense was fantastic. I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to make it sound like I don't want to give Texas credit, but the true defensive story of this game is the Alabama defense. That's the true story of this game, because Texas got inside the Alabama 30 6 times, and they got 1 touchdown.
Right.
That's the defensive story of this game. 6 times in the 30, inside the 30, and 1 touchdown. That's the defensive story of the game.
Yeah, I'm a Longhorn and Crimson Tide fan, and I'm gonna tell you exactly the way it is. Sarkisian. Let me back up here. Saban is having problems with his assistants here lately. Fisher, Smart, Sarkisian. They got his number. Okay. They know what's going on. When Alabama came into town with 105,000 loud ass fans and shit, Alabama, they were going to get punched in the mouth, and they did. Okay. And thank goodness they won, because this became the A&M game all over again.
It did. Only it was on defense.
Yeah. So, as a Bama fan, you have to be really happy to walk out of there unscathed.
Oh yeah.
And especially without any injuries, because those Longhorns were hitting. The Crimson Tide was hitting hard. It was a hard hitting game, man.
Yeah, it was. Even on Bryce. Just
and Texas, this was inexperienced versus experienced right here. And of course, I'm loving it because the OU fans are dropping their jaws after that game yesterday. Man, but now I got to say, Quinn Ewers, the guy is a stud. He proved it out there. He's got an arm; he can throw it 80 yards.
Yep.
And it's a shame that he got knocked out, because we couldn't see what would happen if he was still in the game. But it sure would be interesting, and they didn't win. They won with the backup. They lost with the backup, and next week's going to be a different situation. They're probably going to play 2 different quarterbacks and move on until he gets healthy. But Alabama, hopefully this was a wake-up for Alabama.
I hope so, too. I think that and I kind of said this before I let everybody on, champions in college football need a game like this to improve, learn their weaknesses, and get better from it, so that way they can ultimately be the national champion if that's really what they want to be. And this was that game for Alabama. We can't have another game like this. This was it. Learn from it, get better, move on. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, Paxton down in the chat comments said that we got screwed, me and the Longhorns. And, yeah, the Longhorns did get screwed. There was a face mask that wasn't called, and, the Bryce tackle in the end zone, that was very questionable. Yeah. I think that the Big 12 has got it out bad for the SEC teams, and let's go ahead and call the Longhorns the SEC team, because that's what they are. They're not in there now, but they're going to be an SEC team, and they're pissed off. So, with that said, they're going to make everybody look bad, call a bunch of shit penalties and whatnot. People might not agree with that, but I do. And as far as the refs, I hate to say that, because I never, ever, ever blame refs for anything. But this is that was a bad call game yesterday. It really was. And Pax, to go on with that, you have to kind of chill out about it just a little bit, because no matter what the rest did, Texas still moved up in the rankings, even though they lost.
Yeah.
They lost and moved up in the rankings. So, everybody won.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay now? I switched to my
Yeah.
PC.
You are loud and clear.
So what I was saying before, I don't want to cut anybody off. Is it okay for me to speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I just want to tell JW, first of all, man, you're very knowledgeable. I have mad respect for you. I like listening to your stories, and when you get on here and anybody else's stream and talk, I know you know your shit. So this isn't like a jab at you, or as a Texas fan, I've always had a mad respect for Alabama anyway, especially after 2009. I was sitting down in a bar in Austin with my friends, and I remember that game well. And I've always, since that day, I was like, I can't wait for Texas to get another shot at Alabama. And how ironic is it that yours goes down with a shoulder injury?
Yeah,
oh, right. So mad. I was like, well, there it goes. There goes the season.
Yeah.
But that.
Oh, I can tell you, Matt. I was telling everybody else before the season started, when Ewers transferred from Ohio State, I said, I hope to God that they don't start Ewers if he's not completely experienced, or looks really good in practice, because they're going to go after him. He's going to get hurt. It's the only game. It's the second game of the season, and he could miss the rest of the season. So what happens? He got knocked the fuck out, And I called it, and I just wish that he kind of wish he would have swapped him out a little bit. But they were after him. They were after Quinn Ewers.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I was like everybody else. I thought this was going to be there was going to be a pretty big gap. Like, it was going to be a 30-point, it was going to end up Alabama 30 points winning by that much. And that surprised me a little bit. And to Paxton in the comment section, I know he keeps talking about the refs and everything else, but ultimately what lost it for Texas is that missed field goal at 10 yards.
Yeah, I was laughing at that, man. I'm sorry, but I just couldn't help myself.
Nobody saw it, but Will Anderson tipped the ball.
The guy has never played. He was never a field goal kicker before this. This is his first time ever kicking.
Oh, seriously?
Seriously.
Wow.
Will Anderson did tip that ball.
That's true. I do remember them. I think they showed the replay, and you could see him reach up and kind of get a hand on it.
I mean, just a finger, I think it was. That's all it said.
From what I remember, I think somebody said that Bert Auburn, I think he was a soccer player.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I don't really know the history of him, but I think that's. I mean, all excuses aside, yeah, Texas lost it themselves. It wasn't a beat down by any means, and I can't wait to go to work tomorrow. And everybody I work with a bunch of OU fans, and I can't wait for them.
Oh shit!
Yeah, they said it was going to be 63-14, and I can't wait to just go in there. Hey, this is a win for me. I mean, I feel like this is a win for Texas, regardless if they lost or not. I know on paper it doesn't say so, but man, it gives me hope. And yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for the OU game. I think it's going to be great.
Oh yeah, it's going to be good, because playing Alabama makes us better. They're playing nobodies, and they're not going to get better.
Right.
And you need to tell the truth and work that.
I think it'll come down to at least 3 teams for the Big 12. But, dude, it wouldn't surprise me if Texas got better as the season went on and made it to the conference title.
They could very well do it. It's going to take two team losses can go to the title in the Big 12.
That's true.
And I think Texas, is allotted one more before it happens. So, but yeah, Matt, T. Sipper, if you when you go back to work, tell them, say, hey, look, Alabama made us better. We moved up in the rankings. You guys move up in the rankings and don't play anybody. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I can jab on them about beating Kent State by 28, and we lost to Bama by 1. So.
Exactly. Who does Alabama play next week? I'm drawing a blank.
University of Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah.
Monroe. Okay, well, see, that's going to be another measuring stick to see if this game was real. Maybe I could be. I don't know. Texas already played Louisiana Monroe.
What'd they win by?
It was 52-10.
Okay, that was pretty good for you guys. That's not bad. We'll see, man. If Alabama doesn't win by that much, I mean, I guess that's what you got to hope for, right? For Texas, like, I mean, not that you need to really care much about that game, but if you guys beat one team better than Alabama beats them,
Mm-hmm.
and considering that our teams met in week 2 and it was really close, wouldn't that say something about your program?
Exactly. Texas needs Alabama to win the rest of the season.
Yeah.
That's what they need.
So they need to win the Big 12, and then have Alabama look really, really good, so that way loss on their resume doesn't look like crap.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. I feel you there. What's up, Nate?
What's up, guys? Go Blue. I know you guys are not Michigan fans, but I was just say go Blue. I don't want to say anything because Michigan played nobody. Yes, we beat them by double digits, but man, Jenny McCarthy looked phenomenal in that game. And it's actually official that Jenny McCarthy is going to be the starter for the rest of the season.
Oh,
that's what I hear. Yeah,
that'll be good.
Just beat Ohio State, will you?
Yeah, I'm tired of fucking Ohio State fans. I'm tired of them.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. I hope we do T-Sipper or
how's your defense looking?
I think they look pretty good. I think they're retooling. They're not as elite as last year, but they're great in my opinion. They're not elite, but they're great in my opinion. So.
Well, from what I've seen so far, now this is so far. It was only the second week of the season,
right?
But Ohio State's defense hasn't really impressed me at all.
Me either. I would say the same thing. They haven't impressed me either. Yet Ohio State fans say, "Oh, we're gonna have the best defense in the nation." Not really. You gave up points to Arkansas State. You gave up points to Notre Dame. What else you want to say?
No, they don't. They don't have the best defense in the nation. Or else, oh God, man.
This is why I hate Ohio State fans.
Michigan moved up to what, 4 or 5 in AP poll?
Yeah, I think they stay at 4 because they were 4 this last Saturday, like yesterday. So
okay,
stay at 4. Hopefully that can.
All right.
But, yeah. The Bama game was awesome. As a college football fan, in my opinion. But
that's the best Texas game that I think that I've seen since the LSU game. That for me, personally.
I forgot about that one. That was just a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's 2019. Yeah. And then the USC game before that, when they beat them a couple of years ago.
Hey, the good thing that Appalachian State beat Texas A&M good thing Michigan's not the only ones that lost.
Yeah, exactly. That was the first thing I thought of was Michigan back in the day. Appalachia's known to upset some Power 5 teams.
Yeah, they just got A&M, and later on in the show, before I end it, which it'll be a while, we got plenty of time to talk, but I'm going to preview. I'm looking forward to that Miami game this weekend.
Ooh,
Texas A&M Miami.
Yeah,
That'll be huge. Yeah, I don't know, man. That'll be close. That'll be good.
I don't know if it's Jimbo's play calling or it's just the players that suck. The offense that sucks.
Our offensive line looks horrendous too.
I know.
I think you know who I'm rooting for in that game.
Miami.
Yeah.
Of course.
Me too, man.
I have no history of A&M, although their fight song's catchy. That's about it.
well, A&M, they've been recruiting. I mean, loaded with 5 stars on defense, and they can't stop Appalachian State. There's something wrong there.
Yeah.
And it's Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo Fisher is an offensive guy anyway. That's the thing. You know, when he was under Nick Saban, he was the offensive coordinator, I think, back at LSU, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
He was with LSU.
What's that?
He was with LSU. I know that.
Yeah. Well, he's been just some guys can coach one side of the ball and that's it. And that doesn't mean they can't be a head coach. But if you can't figure it out on what the other side of the football, there's something seriously wrong. Like you got to at least know what you're getting in the hire.
Right.
And they just lost. I don't know who the replacement is, but they lost Mike Elko to Duke to be the head coach.
Did you all see that West Virginia lost to Kansas or got blown out? I think.
Oh yeah,
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
I think it was 55 Kansas and 45 West Virginia. I think. I don't know. If Kansas looks good that way every week, I think they could go 6-6. If they keep that up. But
hey Nate, are you still a Nebraska fan?
no, I gave up on them.
I'm hoping that they can beat OU. That would be good.
Yeah. Who dominates in that series? I think I don't know. Is it Nebraska or I don't know. I know
Nebraska's not going to beat OU. They're not going to do it.
No.
Kansas State next week might beat OU.
That would be.
Yeah. AJ Martinez wants that revenge. Adrian Martinez, he looked okay in the Kansas State game, in my opinion. I wasn't really impressed with him. And plus, yeah, I don't. No, I think it was a week 2 last week or yesterday. Is week? I'm so confused. Yeah, is it week 2 for yesterday?
Week 2 was yesterday. That's right.
Okay. Is it just me, or was the week 2? Was the week 2 a 2007 of week 2s?
How do you miss that?
I saw that.
Is the week 2 of college football the 2007 of week 2s or what?
It seems like it.
Yeah.
I want to know how Ryan Suckup just missed his kick. Are y'all
That
watching the Bucks
that
game?
was worse. That was worse than the Texas Longhorns kick.
It may be worse than Nebraska kick for field goal.
I hate the Cowboys so much. I hate Cowboys so much.
I do too. I mean,
hey Nate, to answer your question about the Nebraska OU, who is leading in that series, they're both tied at 3.
They've only met 6 times.
6 times? I thought it was more
That's
than
it.
that.
I mean, if they're tied at 3,
That's
Hey guys, I gotta go. I'm fixing to eat. It was good talking to you guys. Okay.
hey, nice to meet you, man.
All right, y'all take care.
Later, man.
Thank
No,
you.
I'm sorry, it's not 3. They've tied 3 times.
okay.
It's Nebraska's got 38 wins. OU has 46 wins.
Oh shoot. Well. Then Nebraska's a little better than Oklahoma. You know, I know Oklahoma and Nebraska are only going to play 2 games. Well, not this year, but like 2 games from so the last year was the first year that they renewed the rivalry, and this year's the second and final.
Yeah. So, Nate, if I believe I mentioned it earlier, but it's about time they fired Scott Frost, right? I mean, he got fired this afternoon.
Yeah, and I would have if I were athletic director. Yes, I would have fired Scott Frost, but his bio was pretty too much in my opinion. They could have waited till October 1st or something like that, but I'm not the athletic director, so I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't be fired, but he just got fired. But I wouldn't. I would have waited for his bio to get lower. Um, but yeah. So, according to the ESPN FBI matchups for Michigan, they're saying that Michigan could go 11-0 into the Ohio State game.
So that could be their only loss?
Maybe, because right now Ohio State has a 79.3% of winning that game, and Michigan has a 20.6%. So
Yeah.
there's still a possibility, but I'm not saying they're going to win right away. So UConn not going to look at Maryland. Let's see. Michigan has 82%, and Maryland has 18% to win against Michigan. Try Iowa. 82%. 82.7%. 82.7% when winnable against Iowa or at Iowa for Michigan. And I'm not going to read all the games, but I'm just going to read the games that could be upsets or winnable. So I'm just J. McCarthy, his completion percentage. Oh my God, it's like 98.1%. He's 15 for 16. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
Although he's 259 yards and 3 touchdowns, I think that's going to go up. And Penn State tried to. Penn State has a little chance. Has a chunk chance to beat Michigan. They have 31.8% to beat Michigan, and Michigan has 68.2%. And then Ohio State. 79.5% for Ohio State to win against Michigan and 20.5% against Michigan to beat Ohio State. So, yeah, that is still a possibility. So what are your thoughts on
Yeah.
that? If they're playing, not playing right now. In Michigan when they're playing like the defense like that, you think they still have a chance against Ohio State? I know that they played nobody so far, but if they keep that up, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, you gotta. I still think Michigan's gotta still step their game up on defense.
Right.
To not beat anybody, but beat Ohio State. I mean, I don't know what kind of defense you need to run, but you got to get after C.J. Stroud, that's for sure. And I definitely have seen some good improvement from the offensive line for Ohio State in these past 2 weeks. And, you
Yeah, the
know,
defense for Ohio State is.
you got a what? What's that?
I said the defense. I don't think in my opinion, I haven't seen improvement from the defense for Ohio State. That could change, but I haven't seen improvement for Ohio State defense. But
I don't think it's been tested yet. I don't know if I want to say haven't seen improvement. I don't think it's been put to the test yet.
yeah, exactly. Like Michigan too, because they haven't been tested yet.
Right. Because I mean, Ohio State. Okay. They can we assess Notre Dame? Well, Notre Dame just lost to Marshall, and then they beat Arkansas State yesterday, and then they won't be tested. I don't think until maybe they play Michigan State.
What's up, Hummus?
What's up, guys?
What's up?
On a zero.
I
My
just want to come in and
my fellow
I'm trying to
Buckeye.
derail your conversation. Go ahead. I'll speak when you guys are done.
No, you can go ahead, Matt. We were just kind of talking about the Buckeyes and if they've been put to the test yet for their defense.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, after seeing what Notre Dame was about against Marshall, I'm starting to wonder because everybody initially after the Notre Dame game around here, everybody's like, oh, the defense is fixed. It looks so great. But then you see what Marshall was able to do, and I know that Notre Dame still only gave up around 350 yards to Marshall, which isn't crazy, but and maybe Marshall's pretty good too. So, but
Maybe.
I'm questioning it now. Yeah, I'm definitely questioning it.
Yeah. I just think now, like I said, I think Ohio State needs a little test like in Big Ten for any team or like if they face. What was their first game for the Big Ten? What team are they playing after that?
For Ohio State, they play
Yeah.
Wisconsin in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know about that Wisconsin. Well, actually, you could win that game easily because I don't know if Wisconsin had a deep.
I would be careful with these 2 games, Nate. Now, I think if they're not careful, they could slip up at Michigan State, and then they play Iowa, but then they go at Penn State.
Yeah.
Wait, Ohio State does?
Ohio State, yeah.
Iowa and Wisconsin don't honestly scare me because I don't think either.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But Michigan State and Penn State both do because I think that they're more balanced teams, and historically, I mean, watching Ohio State for 30 years of my life, I know what it's about with Michigan State. They always seem to beat us when you don't think it's going to happen. So we always are hesitant to call a victory over Michigan State, especially on the road. I mean, so.
Yep.
Hey, I'm out. I gotta go. I'll see you guys
All
later.
right, CP Sipper.
All right. Have a good one.
But yeah, we'll see. I actually wanted to ask you about Alabama, Ballard, because I don't know what you're thinking. I know that everybody's acting like the sky is falling after you have a close win, but I mean,
I mean, we've kind of been talking about it this whole stream, and I think that it's going to be one of those in the long run this season. Well, is Texas that good of a team? That good of a team that they were that competitive, or does Alabama truly have offensive line issues still, and they got exposed? So, and it could even be both, for all we know. I think Alabama's got a lot of improving to do, and I think Texas has a lot to prove after being able to compete for that game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think Texas always has talent. I mean, Tom Herman did not even leave the cupboard bare when he left. I mean, a lot of people realize look at what Tom Herman's record was when he was there at Texas. I mean, he never had a losing season.
No,
I think the most he ever lost was 4 games in a year or something.
that's
like
not
that.
bad.
So
But it's bad for a Texas fan, but I mean, it's not bad at all.
yeah, it's just their expectations are so high.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, yeah, Texas has talent. But I mean, when I watch that game, and I'm watching it somewhat objectively because I don't have a rooting interest. I despise Alabama and Texas both equally. So when I'm watching, I'm thinking, Alabama. I went into it like most people, thinking that Alabama was just gonna, just drag Texas all over the place. But watching it, and I'm seeing Alabama's offense, and I'm just thinking, my goodness, what has happened? Like 2 years ago, when they beat us in the national title game, compared with now, the offensive production, it's just night and day. I mean,
Yep.
the wide receiver play is just not up to what it was, and I know you lose 4 first-round picks over the course of 3 years, and then Jamison Williams last year too, and Mechie was no slouch. I know that there's bound to be a drop off, and we're even seeing that at Ohio State this year. Everybody was acting like, they're just going to immediately be Ibuka and Marvin Harrison, and those guys are good, but I mean, you can't just replace guys that are that experienced immediately. So, but I think that Alabama, I know the talent's still there at wide receiver, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to get it together quick enough, because I think that they are going to face more talented teams than Texas. I mean, I think that's pretty clear, So, but we'll just have to see. I mean, it's a long season, and sometimes you get past one of those hiccups, and you can make great improvements. And we know if one thing of a Nick Saban team is that they always improve. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's I think it's going to be that season where we're just going to get better and better, and I don't say that out of like Bama bias or anything. I think after the season that they had last year, and I know people wanted to criticize Saban for saying it was a rebuild year. It was at least supposed to be with everything we lost from 2020. Um, this year's not a rebuilding year. It's not. Win the national title or not. That's the mission this year, and it might take some time to get this team fully up to that standard. It might take a couple weeks. It might take a couple games. It might take that one opponent. It might be Texas that needs to get this team in gear. Um, they could get better as the season goes on. Who knows? But I still think that there's national champion or bust mentality in sight of Nick Saban and Alabama.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's always going to be the expectation. That's going to be the expectation for years after Saban does retire. Which who knows when that'll be. But I mean, realistically. I know that Alabama had a down period after the the trouble they had in the early '90s. You know, when I was watching, that's when I first really started watching college football. I mean, I watched it a little bit when I was younger, but in the early '90s, you know, they won that national title and then they went on probation, and then
Yeah.
they were pretty absent there. And that's when Florida kind of rose up and Tennessee rose up. It kind of left a power vacuum in DC. But you know, I can't speak because I'm not from there. I'm not from the South, but I'm assuming that Alabama fans, even during all that, still had those same expectations. You know, and then the Mike Shula years, which were disappointing. But I mean, that's what it's going to be when you're Alabama and you're, you know, arguably, well, realistically, the greatest program in college football history. You're always going to have that expectation, whether it's unrealistic or not. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's the same thing around here. I mean, and I'm sure Nate's a Michigan fan, and it's the same thing there too. I mean, when you're a college football blue blood, you know, sometimes the expectations are unrealistic, but that's what the fan bases demand. You know what I mean? And that's why, you know, you see coaches get fired. Like I said, like Tom Herman. I mean, I think Texas they pulled the trigger a little bit quick on that, in my opinion. And I'm not saying things won't work out with Sarkisian. Maybe they will, but I don't know. I think Texas is a little bit antsy on what they want to do. They don't give coaches long enough. Now with Charlie Strong, I don't think it was going to work out with Charlie Strong. I think the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
But that's Texas. You know what I mean? Once again, it's a blue blood, and if you don't perform there, they'll get rid of you. So
I agree.
but yeah, I just I'll stop talking about that game after this if you want to move to something else. But I just have a couple more questions.
No, you're good, man. Go ahead.
Do you think that if Quinn Ewers doesn't get injured, because we saw how he was playing in the first quarter, do you think that, I know this is ifs and buts or candy and nuts, I know all that stuff, but just in the hypothetical world, if he doesn't go down, do you think that Alabama's able to withstand?
Based on how he was playing, and you'd have to assume. I mean, it's a good possibility that Alabama could turn it around in the second half, but honestly, let's assume they don't. I think Texas wins the game with Quinn.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking too, but you never know. He could have also ended up throwing a couple pick sixes too because he's a young player. And I mean, I know that Hudson Card is, you know, probably not as talented. I mean, he's not as talented. And he was a little hobbled too. But one thing that he does have the experience of playing last year and, you know, being in the system. So he might have been less prone to making mistakes, more of that game manager type thing. But I mean, I think that if Quinn plays the rest of the game and he plays the way that he did in the first quarter, then I think that Texas wins. I think that
Yeah.
But the other question I had is, what about those two calls late in the game there? That safety that was overturned. What do you think about all that? I mean, and the officials' explanation on what they were doing there seemed kind of wishy-washy what they said.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what they had said. You're talking about the safety on Bryce Young.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, you got to understand the only reason Texas didn't get those 2 points that could have changed the game in a way, because again they only lost by one. You got to understand there was a roughing the passer call. I don't know if I necessarily saw roughing. I mean, he was playing defense, and the question is, was Bryce Young defenseless? That's the question. I really don't know, but I think there's quite a bit that, um, I mean, I think it was a clean tackle in the end zone. They threw the flag. They said that, it was roughing the passer. I mean, it was just a clean tackle. on Bryce, really.
Yeah, that's how I saw it too. So I could see why they would, go ahead and waive that off. But then they took away the 2 points for the safety because they said that uh, and by replay, I don't think he was down. I think he got the ball away. So I don't think it should have been a safety on that grounds. But
Oh yeah, go back and look at it. I got it actually right here.
Yeah,
We
he
can
was
watch
on.
this.
Yeah, he was
He
on the
was
Texas
on. He was
player.
on the back of a Texas player. He wasn't actually on the ground.
Yeah, but
Hold on.
and then the other question is, so I think that that's obvious. But the other question is, if you don't throw the ball across the goal line, and it's intentional grounding, then it's still a safety. But the
That's true.
explanation I heard for that is that it grazed a Texas player. So let's see if that happens.
Look, he's on the back of a Texas player before he gets rid of the ball.
Yeah, so he's not down. So it's not a safety from him being down. That's obvious. But you couldn't see on that replay because if you throw the ball in the end zone in that situation, it doesn't make it out of the end zone, it's still a safety. But I heard because it's intentional grounding, I guess, like by rule, it's one of those quirks in the rule book. But they said that supposedly you couldn't see it on the replay, but supposedly it grazed a Texas player, and that's why they went ahead and said no safety.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just thought that was a crazy play call, like their explanation, all the stuff. I just thought it was odd, that one. And then the no, I'm sure everybody saw this, and this one's less controversial. The officials just all out blew face mask call.
Yep.
Did you see that one? Well,
I saw that.
It negated, and once again, I'm not saying that would have had Texas win because they still would have had to score, but I mean, it would have gave them a 1st and 10 at like the 12-yard line, or maybe even a 1st and goal. I don't know, something like that. But I know they missed calls, and it was Big 12 refs. So people who are saying that it was, some kind of they had it in for Texas, it was a Big 12 officiating crew. But more than that's impact on the game, I'm just thinking like. These targeting rules where they'll call targeting for almost anything, and as fans we watch it, we know they should protect the players, but
Yeah.
but a lot of the times it's like unavoidable. I remember that hit that Sean Wade had on Trevor Lawrence and the Fiesta Bowl that got him ejected, and Lawrence dipped his head into Wade, and Wade had the helmet-to-helmet contact was initiated by Lawrence. But just because Wade was the defender, he got ejected, and it's like that's so goofy, So I'm just thinking, like, shouldn't the officials be more like? I mean, a face mask could be really, really bad too. I know it's not as bad for concussion, but I mean, a neck injury can be really bad too. And it's like when I watched that and I saw them just like no review, nothing afterwards, I'm thinking like that's a really dangerous play too. You know what I mean? Like they're so adamant on calling targeting and doing it for anything. But a lot of the times face masks, and I was watching the NFL earlier today too, and it was the Bengals game, and there was an obvious face mask, and they just completely missed it. And it's like I wonder why they don't pay as much attention to that when it can be really, really dangerous. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think targeting is serious in college football, but it's gotten so out of hand and controversial over the past few seasons, and I sometimes like one of the things is you got to look at he's a defenseless player, or he ducked his head or something. And I mean, last time I checked the rule book, which I didn't actually check the rule book, but they always explain it, it's only targeting if the player is defenseless and the defender or whoever, I mean, sometimes you see it on offense, leads with the crown of the helmet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to meet two. I think there's 3 criteria, and it has to meet 2 of the 3, and it's crown of the head, forcible contact, and what was the other one you said? Initiates the contact.
Yeah. Um, makes contact with the crown of the helmet, and if the player's like defenseless.
Defenseless player, forcible contact, and crown of the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
So but sometimes it does, but sometimes it's unavoidable. So that's why I think when I see it, I understand the rule needs to be there because you can't have people just because sometimes you see it and it is malicious. You see, like I
Yeah.
think that what Skalski did to Justin Fields and the whatever bowl game that was, I can't remember, Sugar Bowl.
I think it was the Sugar Bowl. You talking
Yeah,
about when Justin he hurt his ribs?
yeah. So I think that
Yeah.
was malicious. He launched himself, and people said that he turned into it, but it's like no, they teach you in Pee Wee football not to tackle like that. So whether he was intending to harm Fields or not, and I'm biased, of course, because I was watching it and I cringed seeing him do that to our quarterback. But like it was just a really bad display of tackling. Like he turned himself into a torpedo, and you don't tackle like that. So I think that if a player is doing that, they need to be ejected from the game. But sometimes, when it's so that was cut and dry. But sometimes, it meets 2 of those 3 criteria, but the offensive player, like, say it's bad weather conditions and the guy's sliding and they can't stop themselves, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. I've seen stuff like that happen, you know. So I think that for that, it shouldn't be an ejection from the game. I think that it should just be a 15-yard personal foul, and the players should be allowed to stay in. And then maybe if they do it again in the same game, then they're ejected, like most other personal fouls. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think that they're ever going to backtrack on the rule at this point. They've had ample opportunity to do it, and they haven't done it yet. So that's just how.
Yeah. I got you there. Well, listen, I don't want to be on here too long because I do have school tomorrow. I'm going to preview a game and then I'm going to get out of here. Do you have anything else as far as college football? Any games you're looking forward to this week? Because I'm planning on. I don't know what I'll be live for. I got to double check the work schedule, but I'm fixing to preview Miami and Texas A&M. Should be a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was looking forward to that, and I know a little bit of the lusters came off of it from the A&M loss, but I think it'll still be a really good game, and I think Penn State and Auburn this week.
Yeah, that ends a home and home. They played in Happy Valley last year, and Auburn made it a pretty competitive game.
Yeah, so I think that'll be another really good one. I'm thinking Penn State and Auburn, the A&M Miami, and also one.
BYU Oregon could be something.
Yeah, that's a good one too. And Michigan State and Washington. We'll see. I haven't watched much of Washington this year, but that's it's at home for Washington, so I think that maybe they'll have a chance in that game. We'll have to see. So there's some good games this week too.
Oh yeah.
There's always good games, and even on the weeks that you think there aren't good games, you see what because they said this week was going to be kind of there's nothing really that great, and then you see like on any week in college football, upsets happen, and so you just
I keep telling people.
Yep.
I keep telling people upsets happen all the time, man. You never know.
Yep, and the Sun Belt, whoever's playing Sun Belt teams, I'll tell you what, those you better watch out. Those games should be So I heard somebody call the Sun Belt. I think it was R.J. Young. He called the Sun Belt the mini SEC because none of them are obviously on the level, but like it's a really competitive league, and it's deep. For a mid-tier league, it's deep. You got a lot of good schools in there. So it's a fun league to watch.
Yep, absolutely. Well, man, I appreciate you stopping on and talking college football with us.
All right, cool. Yeah. All right, I'll get out of here. I'll talk to you later, Ballard. Thanks for the stream.
See ya, Hummus. Appreciate Hummus Hero for coming on. All right, we're gonna preview Miami, Texas A&M, and then we'll get out of here. So let me get this set up, get the screen share, and we'll talk about it. Okay, I think I'm ready. All right. Miami Hurricanes going on the road to Kyle Field to play the Texas A&M Aggies. Number 13, number 24. I'm not sure if game day is going to be there, but this will be a battle of two really good programs, really good teams with young head coaches on the rise. A&M coming off a tough upset loss to App State. Miami is 2-0, beating teams like Bethune-Cookman and USM, which is Southern Miss. You look at this game at Kyle Field, Mario Cristobal, a first-year head coach for the Miami Hurricanes, taking over Manny Diaz, and Jimbo Fisher entering year 4, if I'm not mistaken. Miami leads this series overall 2-1 with wins back in 2007 and 2008. When you look at it, again, 53.6, you could round up to 54. Counted a 54-46 in favor of Miami. The spread is 6 in favor of the Aggies. When I look at this game, some key things that are going to be big is the Miami defense. A&M struggled on the offensive line in their first couple games, one of which they won and one which they lost to App State. One of the things I noticed in that game, Haynes King is the quarterback, which isn't the issue, but you got to be able to protect the quarterback. I think Miami needs to use the offensive line struggles of A&M to their advantage if they want a chance to play defense and win this football game. You look at some guys they have, linebacker Corey Flagg. They got Gilbert Frierson on the defensive end, defensive back chart, I should say. Wayman Sneed, Caleb Johnson, Leonard Taylor, Akeem Messidor, Antonio Moultrie, to name a few guys that you could see step up for this Hurricane defense. And this is going to be a big game and a big test for Mario Cristobal here in year one. Like I said, Miami needs to use the A&M offensive line struggles to their advantage, get Haynes King in the run game, stop both of those in their tracks. A&M has a pretty good running back in Devin Akane, who already has 108 rushing yards. They got to play good secondary and guard guys like Anais Smith. It was just a bad Saturday this past weekend for the Texas A&M Aggies losing to Appalachian State. The question here's the thing. Will Miami handle the crowd? That's the question for Miami. Can they handle the crowd noise and the nighttime matchup at Kyle Field? Remember, A&M was unranked when they beat Alabama last year, and they pulled it off. And this is an Alabama team that won the SEC, made it to the playoffs, and was minutes away from possibly beating the Georgia Bulldogs in a national championship until a pick six. Again, App State won against A&M 17-14 on this past Saturday. the A&M offense has to come together. They got to find rhythm. They got to find chemistry, and they got to find ways to move the ball downfield, convert third downs, and get in scoring position in this game because Miami has been known historically for good defenses. Mario Cristobal has been a great recruiter everywhere he's been, and especially back in Oregon. You remember getting Kayvon Thibodeau, who's now in the NFL. Someone remind me where he's at. Is he? He's like with the Lions or whoever. He's good. He's really good at getting the defensive players, and not only that, putting them on the field. I would watch Corey Flagg. I would watch Wayman Steed and Caleb Johnson. Could be huge for this defense on Saturday. And when you look at A&M, they got some good defense too. Antonio Johnson has 17 total tackles already. They got a couple guys with sacks like Chris Russell. Antonio Johnson, as I mentioned, he leads the team with 1 sack. A couple guys with half a sack here or there. Ed Garion Cooper is a linebacker. So I think when you look at this game and you look at this matchup here, look, Texas A&M can easily stop the run game. And I say easily not to be a jerk or anything. Not like, obviously these guys put in a lot of work and a lot of effort, but, they're not even holding guys to 100 yards rushing within their past 2 games. But Sam Houston and App State, not Miami, not the Hurricanes, not Power 5. This is going to be probably the first true test. I know A&M just lost a game, but they got to bounce back. They got to shake it off, and they got to prove that they still belong in college football. They still belong as one of the top teams. They still belong to be ranked. They still belong. And they still got to go out and prove that every single Saturday. And I think they want to prove that this past weekend with App State, not that it was a fluke or an accident or anything like that, but they want to prove that they are bigger than that, they're better than that, and they can win against big-time football teams. This is a 13 Miami on 24 Texas A&M. I think for both of these offenses, because you're going up against good defenses, you got to play hurry-up tempo on the offense. Miami doesn't really have a deep threat receiver. A&M, they just need to find offensive chemistry, not talent. They just got to find that rhythm. They got to get it going. They've only in 2 games have scored 22 points. It's not even close. Miami is 2-0. They're top 15 right now, and they've scored 50 points on average per game, right? Like I said, will Miami handle the crowd? That's going to be a big question. Does the A&M offense come together after an App State loss where it was, by the way, 17-14? There was no offense. None of it. I agree with Hummus Hero in the chat. He says A&M needs to find a quarterback too. They got a 5-star in Haynes King. He's been the go-to guy. He's got 406 yards passing. They got Max Johnson at backup. They do kind of have to they do have to find a quarterback. They did pick up Connor Wegman out of their number 1 recruiting class as well. So he's a 5-star. Could he potentially see some time on the field this Saturday? I don't know. I think I would probably agree with Hummus Hero where they do need to find that leader for their offense. And they need to get the offensive line together. So get the offensive line together, get that taken care of, find an offensive leader because the talent is around the quarterback. If they can find the offensive leader that can lead the offense and do it well and on a consistent basis, I think they have a chance this season and even in this Miami game. I'm excited for it. It's going to be a great game. I don't know what I'm going to go live for on Saturday. This would be the game. I am working, but I don't think I'll make it home in time to be live for this game. But I'll still predict it and keep an eye on it. I'll be able to at least watch the second half. But 53% for Miami to win, 46% A&M wins. We'll see. I'm going to say this. I'm very high on Miami, but I just have a weird feeling, and I'm going to say it's close. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to go with my gut here and say that Texas A&M is mad about the App State loss, and I think they're on a mission to prove that they are better than that. I'm going to say the first to 30 could possibly win this game. I don't think it's a big shootout, and I don't think it's a super huge defensive battle. I know Miami's favored and got a 53% chance to win, but we'll see. It's a touchdown spread. It's actually in favor of the A&M Aggies. The over-under is 48.5. I'm going to say no, they don't cover it, but I do think they win. Give me the Aggies, but I'm going to say not by 6, actually by 4, and I think that they end up either putting together a game-winning drive or maybe their defense is stout and can stand up to Tyler Van Dyke and the Miami offense. Give me 34-30 in favor of the Aggies in a home win this Saturday. All right. That being said, I pretty much have covered everything. I'm going to clip that later, and I'm going to upload it for you guys. Hopefully, I hope you guys enjoyed that preview there. I could be right. I could be wrong. A&M's not going to go out and lose the rest of their games. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's 13-24. We'll see. A&M is the pick, says Hummus Hero. I agree. Six-point spread. They got to find a run game. I mean, 2 games and they haven't even rushed 100 yards yet. They haven't even sniffed a whole football field in 2 games. That's ridiculous. Stay on for a little bit if people have comments. Nah, I'm kind of tired. I got to get up for class tomorrow. And I mentioned earlier, I am feeling a little under the weather, so I probably should get some rest tonight. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. He's amazing, and he's got an amazing plan for your life if you trust and believe that. Please like, comment, and subscribe right here to Ballard Sports Media for more sports content. Don't forget, we'll get some more team previews, or game previews, I should say, this week. Don't forget Tidal Wave Talk on Friday. We got another big game. Who do we have? I think we got ULM. So it's not a big game, but it's at least a home game for the Crimson Tide. So we're back at it, back at Bryant Denny. Got to bounce back, and it should be a good one. So I love you guys. Jesus loves you. He's got a great plan. Keep your head up. God bless. And like I always say, roll tide. Ballard Sports Media. Check it out. Love y'all.